So this is the Drupal Usability meeting for November 16th, 2016. And we're going to talk about some Thunder usability improvements, I think.
Okay. Can you just give quickly? I saw the recording of the last usability meeting last week. You know, the evening one. So that was mostly about the media browser, media library thing. What was yesterday's about?
So Kevin O'Leary did usability testing of the media library designs, and he explained the findings, and we discussed hopefully starting implementing that very soon. And
we got a live commit.
We've had a live commit, yes, of quick editing images.
Nice.
And then we hope to have more live commits. There were several technology problems.
But yeah, so the media library design, basically now we put the prototype to RTBC. So it will probably come up tomorrow in the product management meeting, and then they'll hopefully agree that it's the thing to do, and then we'll start building a plan and building the thing. Because January 31st is basically the deadline for features.
Very well. Yeah, I talked with the developers for the Thunder distribution. They also said that they will join in development for that project. I don't know the total specifics on when and how, but maybe possibly already for the sprint that is happening here for the Munich Drupal camp.
Mm-hmm. Can we quickly frame what the Thunder distribution is?
Okay, so the Thunder distribution is a distribution for publishers. It was created by the Burda Publishing House here in Germany, and they also joined in with joined forces with some other publishing houses that intend to use the distribution or are already using it. It is, as I said, a distribution tailored for publishers like online magazines, newspapers, and such. So it has.
How can you tell? How can you tell it's for that? Is it the features?
Yeah. So the features are tailored to that in terms of. So they made a concept of how to integrate media into their articles, extended media with some common fields that publishers tend to have, like copyright and source and such, and do an integration with some modules there that enhance working with media assets, like, you know, setting focal points and such, a lot of common stuff that you want to have as a publisher. And the other thing is, you know, they tend to have long articles that consist of a mixture of texts and social media items and videos and galleries and images. And for their purposes, they decided to use paragraphs for that. So every article, and the second thing that they have is a special taxonomy that they call channel. So that will be the different channels like news or politics and such. They are also they also have a field for paragraphs, and and so the editors assemble those articles and also those article-like taxonomies that are kind of and there's the channel that has like a pre-roll with all the paragraphs that you put on the channel, and then there is a list of the articles that can be found in the channel. So that has heavy use of paragraphs.
Thanks.
Yeah, and this is also one of the bigger areas where they need UX improvements, because the paragraphs, they are kind of pure in what they do. So you have a text-only paragraph. You're not able to like do embeds in the text or anything. So it's just text, and then the next paragraph would be an image, and it's just an image, and maybe then there would be an Instagram, and then maybe there would be a Twitter thing. So you tend to have a lot of paragraphs for their really long articles and for a long pages that they make for SEO purposes and such. So
sounds like a paragraph per field almost.
Yeah. We did some user testing and looked at what they're doing. So especially the SEO guy has pages where there is over 100 paragraphs. So which, I see Gabor raising his eyebrows. Yeah,
he's not saying anything, which says a lot.
Yeah, that is due to the reason that they do the separation in those paragraphs. Like, hey, you want to have an Instagram, then you want to have a text, and then you want to have an Instagram, then you want to have a text, and so forth. And that gets to be a long list. There are a couple of reasons why they do this internally to track which paragraphs are used and such. But yeah, so that there are problems that need to be solved, because you can create a paragraph at the end of the list, and then you try to drag and drop, and if the paragraphs are big, it's the whole drag and drop usability goes just to hell. Yeah, such things, and yeah, and as I said in the chat before, so the second thing. Maybe the second bigger thing that they're thinking about is, how that goes with those modal overlays, where they open the entity browser or upload new images or anything, or edit media. So currently we're exploring two directions for that, and I can share my screen with some really early on wireframes to accompany what I'm saying.
Please do.
So let me just, yeah, here I am. So you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe just to get back to what I'm saying for the paragraphs. So that one thing we're thinking about is like to be able to insert the paragraph in place here in between those existing ones. So this is kind of a hybrid screen here, because it's for the desktop it would be like on hover to explore those little insert markers between the paragraphs, and for a mobile it would show all of them.
Sorry, can you zoom in?
Excuse me?
Sorry, can you zoom in on this?
Zoom in, yes. Sorry.
Thank you.
So here you see like the marker where you can like insert a paragraph in place, and don't have to scroll down, create a paragraph, try to find the insertion point for dragging and dropping, and then we're thinking and zooming in. of having like a sorting mode. Like here on the top left, there's a button that is activate sorting, and then you can check those paragraphs you want to kind of move. And then also you have the same pattern, or a really similar pattern, to insert the paragraphs in place in between, in a new place. Yeah, but what I said, why I wanted to show you the wireframe. So we were thinking of how you edit those media items. Let me just find. So currently they're opening a modal window if they want to select the media. Is this big enough? So let's see that.
Perfect.
But maybe I might just make it shortly. It's a little bit smaller that you see the whole picture. So on the left-hand side, you have a teaser image that is not set yet to anything. So you would go and select the teaser image here on the left-hand side, or the placeholder for that, and then you would instead of getting a modal that takes you to some place else, it would open the tray, and you would have the media browser, entity browser, in this tray that in the tray that was called settings tray for the outside in initiative. Yeah, so that is kind of the one thought that we are having there. So it's more side by side. You have on one side you still have the content you're working on. You see what you're doing. Kind of on the right hand side, you have the entity browser. If a drag and drop would be good, I don't know. We haven't been thinking of that. So that is one thing. The other thing is also to kind of let me find one. Yeah. So to also, you see the article form here, and the article. I don't know if it's the correct term to say if it's metadata, but the article that the menu entries, or the meta tags, or the promoted to front page things that we normally have in the second column in the article. We're wanting to move that out of the way so that people can concentrate on what they do most, because they're not so often using those settings for the article. So this gets hidden behind maybe here a button here on the top, and a button on this sticky footer that we have here for saving and publishing. That the footer is sticky is also a thought on improving the fact that you have to scroll down a long way until you get to the save button. So you see here a sticky bar with our save drop-down button and the preview button, and that there's a little bit of an information about the article in here. They requested that they can know who was the last person that edited the article. So they can see, okay, when was this last updated? So you have some information in the middle, and then on the right-hand side you have a button to open also the tray for maybe the settings or metadata of the article here. And then the last thing is we are trying to figure out to make a decision if it's better to edit the paragraphs like in the main body of the article. That will be here editing in media. So and this would be editing text here in a text paragraph. Or if this also should be done in a sidebar, which I'm not totally a friend of, because now if you would edit this text paragraph in this tray, if the tray is very narrow, the text, the length of the text is not easy to judge, and it's and you have to, like, if you click on the paragraph a little bit lower on the page scroll, it will maybe open up on the top, so you have to, your mouse ways get a lot longer, and it's kind of awkward.
How does paragraphs do it now? Just paragraphs.
It does it with an inline entity form.
So yeah.
So it does it like basically like we show here.
Yeah.
And and so and then there was the other thought would be to make on bigger screens, to make this tray bigger, so the representation of something like text would be a little bit more closer to what you would have in the front end, so you could just see this a little bit better, how long the text will run. But as I said, I'm not of that. I really like the idea to use the tray for something like bringing something new in, or doing like going in here when I have a gallery, and then I want to bring in some new elements for the gallery. I think that makes total sense to have this kind of side by side, and picking something from from the outside and bringing it into the article, but not going so far away like with the modal. That was the thoughts here. So there's a long list of those usability issues that we encountered. A lot of them are also found in some core issues, and also in the issue queues of the modules. But that was the first thing we thought we tried to tackle, because they're really working heavily on this paragraph thing.
So are you proposing these for paragraphs or for thumb?
You mean that the editing of the paragraphs will happen in the tray?
Yeah. So the changes proposed would happen for anyone using paragraphs, or only those using paragraphs in Thunder?
No. So yeah, we try to find the right way for all of that. We made some assessment for the list of problems and possible solutions that we have there, where they could go. And so the general idea is always that this could be that those improvements should be open for everybody, but some things might have to go in a new module. Maybe like if you think about the insert here thing, you could say, okay, we do this for paragraphs, but the drag and drop concept for like a multi-field is something that is kind of in core, used in other places. So maybe it would go in some new module that could use with paragraphs and possibly something else. The decision of opening up, the entity browser or something in a modal is currently, I'm not totally sure. It's where this setting belongs to, but I think that would be also a thing where you say, okay, at the moment you can choose if you. I think it's an entity browser. I think at the moment you can choose if you want to open this in a modal, or if you want to open this inline. I think they have also an inline option to show the entity browser, underneath the field or so. And this would be just bringing in a third option. So I think we really try to find where this goes. Some of the improvements naturally that are really if you saw, there was the list of paragraphs, and all those were littles where there was a representation where they're small. For in front you have a little thumbnail of the media and it's like in 2 columns, and in the second column there are some fields from the paragraph, like the title and the alt text and the description of the media. That would go in Thunder, because these are paragraphs that are done for Thunder, and for Thunder they need to be there needs to be done the decision done to show them as a preview. So therefore, for paragraphs, there's I think 3 modes. You can show the open form. You show them as closed. Closed would mean just see like the type of paragraph and the button or so. And then you can use a preview, which is a preview view mode. And to configure that view mode to be, kind of uniform or show the right information, that is a thing that would go to Thunder. But currently I'm just writing I'm just on the verge of doing those issues and trying to figure out where they need to go. I will kind of create a bigger meta issue on the Thunder distribution that kind of brings all those together and lists all the findings and the areas we want to work on, and from there we would link to either a Thunder issue or a paragraphs issue or a core issue, or what core is doing as well with those roadmaps for the ideas things.
I mean, I was thinking about the wireframe you had where editing the paragraph contents was moved to the settings tray. And I was thinking why that didn't make sense to me, and I think I know now. The settings tray was introduced as something for the front end of the site, right? You're actually visiting the front end of the site and you want to change, you fix a typo or change the setting of the header, etc. And so there it reduces the distance from seeing the thing you want to change and being able to change it. If we show it in the edit side, because we're seeing the paragraphs, so are we in, I'm assuming we're in edit mode for those paragraphs. If we're in edit mode, then we should just edit the thing itself, so in place as possible, and then moving things into a side settings tray is increasing the distance between the thing and changing the thing. So that's why I like the idea. I think I called it out for the media library design as well, of seeing a media browser or an entity browser thing where I can bring in new stuff, because that reduces the distance from getting to the place where all those images or entities are, so that I can add them. And yeah, maybe even hiding some of the lesser used metadata stuff makes sense, because that creates your canvas, right? Then the content is the canvas that you're working with. So those 2 ideas make sense to me, and I think, yeah, by just moving edit stuff you're already editing anyway to the settings tray itself is not a useful idea.
Yeah, I think you phrased that well. I think that expresses, what I was kind of also thinking. You know, it creates more distance between what you're editing and moving that out of the way. I think it only makes sense if you're in a scenario where you really have a live front-end preview and then you want to have something that is more formy or more settings oriented on the side. So that's also why I don't wanna kind of go there. Yeah. So there is one other thing that that we also noticed. So we have those totally useless tabs on the article edit form. So you have view, edit, and delete as tabs on top. You didn't see them in the wireframes because, you know,
you hate them.
there isn't a core issue or any thoughts on that. You know, I know it gets kind of a little bit more useful if, you know, you're an admin and you get some devil or whatnot tabs that I'm also not using myself, but I don't know, it's kind of awkward in the sense of I'm editing an article and then I'm getting a tab to either delete it or to go somewhere else to view it. So I have a preview button and I don't know. So what are thoughts of, is there anything core for that?
I think this is because we're not covering all this. I'm removing the delete tab or calling out the delete tab as a silly thing to put on a tab. That's been pointed out before and years ago even. I think they're still there. I mean, contextual links are there where some of those actions are there. The buttons at the bottom of an edit form capture some of that functionality. I think they're still there because we didn't make an effort to review if we can remove them. I mean, we've replaced or at least have different ways of accessing that functionality. It could well be that if you disable this or that module, then something is not possible in some scenario and the tabs are like the fallback. But it looks like we're in a place where we should probably, where we could look into the analysis. Have we replaced, or have we put those, what those tabs do in other places already, and can we rely on those? Yeah, it's the old way, right? It's the old way of doing things. It was add a tab for translations. Well, I think it's Gabor. Does it still add stuff there? I think so. Yeah, translate, and it's one of the ways you can plug in extra functionality into stuff.
Yeah, there's plenty of issues, I think, to move delete to a button instead of a tab. So I just found 402760, which is a very old issue. It's 7 years old. And that also talks about regression, turn delete tabs back into buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's certainly a lot of discussion on getting rid of the delete tab at least. But then it became a pattern for other things. So when this issue was on, then comments and taxonomy terms had the delete tab, and now I think everything has a delete tab. So, or most, well, not everything, but most things have a delete tab. I think if you go edit the menu item, you don't get a delete tab probably, but yeah, it's not very consistent either. I agree.
So yeah, it's probably something we could do. It's also probably one of those quite annoying hard tasks, so that people are not too eager to pick up.
I think if we have a better consistent plan, then we can see.
Yeah.
If we can,
yes, we definitely
can always pick up 7-year-old issues and work on them. We've been successful at getting some of those done.
That's true. Yeah, the keyword is probably the consistency part, right? Are we making sure that nothing is left behind if we remove it. So that takes some legwork, but yeah, we would definitely be open to remove delete as a tab. And preview, yeah, I mean preview.
No, it's
preview a
I'm
module?
talking about view. You know.
Oh yeah, view. Yeah.
It's I'm not really sure. You know, and I have the feeling, and from what I gather from asking around what people do, nobody clicks on that because you're almost always in a situation where you don't want to view the thing when you're in the forum. So you want to complete your task on doing some changes, and then you get rerouted either to view the article, which makes sense, or to the list of content, and you have the preview button, so that also the tab of with the route to view the article is not making much sense in my opinion here. Even harder than the delete thing. The delete thing is, as you say, a lot of legwork, and see if we have a delete button in all the places, and not run into a situation where we would have needed the tab because we don't have the button. But for this view thing, it's I don't know. It either can be totally easy, say, hey, this is obsolete, or not, but I cannot think of a scenario where you would like to click on the view tab when you're in the forum.
Yeah, interesting. I'm not sure I ever clicked on the view link myself either. It's just you save and then get returned to the thing, or yeah,
it's more like a cancel button. Like if you want to cancel editing and view the thing, then but then
yeah.
I would rather have a cancel button.
Yes. Yeah. I guess it's a result of having tabs, right? If you want to create delete as a tab, then you'll have view as a tab because you want to go out of the delete tab. But no, it's not making too much sense. So yeah,
no, it's more like
interesting. We can revive this. Yeah. Sorry, no, I was just saying that it's interesting. You can revive this and look into it. It's definitely worth exploring because it's not just because it's the old school way of doing things, but it's removing the switch right between back and front of the same thing. We have other ways to get there. It opens. Yeah, if it wasn't there, you'd have to be more transparent, I guess, in how you can edit. I'm not sure making sense, but we have other ways to get to the edit and to the delete functionality. So yeah, I think the problem will be getting a good overview of other stuff, other modules, other features that add tabs and provide another place where they can add that functionality that they're exposing there. It's always relatively easy to fix it for what's just in core, because that's a limited set. But yeah, there's contrib, and they have tabs or subtabs, tabs with subtabs, etc. So, and solving that is probably the real challenge.
Yeah, but maybe this that does not need to be solved, from the core side of things, But I think this is always about core setting a good example, and the tab concept will not go away so easily, and so it will be used, and it is used and such, but. The thing is also, I think the bad thing is the issue goes much deeper, because the view is the base route, so the base route for the entity is then view, and so you have this as the first tab in your routes, and the same goes if you do other content entities, and then from there you spawn new tabs like edit. So this is kind of reminds me of this issue on improving like what you see in the toolbar menu. So there's a lot of menu items not accessible because they are kind of sub-tabs, or then there's the problem, some sub-tabs, even if you wanted to put them in the toolbar menu, you would get duplicates, because the base route has sometimes only one tab, and sometimes it has sub-tabs that where the first sub-tab is also the same thing, like the default. So then you get those duplicate menu entries. I was trying to find the issue where I was working on adding more menu items to the core toolbar. You see.
So did you just made it harder to do this? Just by
no. There was an issue. There was a core issue that it would
right, okay.
that the toolbar would benefit of having more menu items that you also have as tabs, and that
not all tabs have an explicit URL or something.
Yeah,
right.
They have explicit URLs, but they do not get rendered in the toolbar menu.
True. Yeah.
So, but I only find the part of drop-down menus, which is postponed.
So Gabor, for people who are also interested in this, would it be about? Yeah. Let's see if we can remove the delete tab, or would it have to be a wider scoped thing?
Well, we used to have a scope of issues to remove the delete tab, so I think it's fine for the scope, I guess.
Okay, he posted the link.
Yeah, that's.
Oh yeah. 1811998. Decide which local tasks to add to the toolbar menu tray. So related, but not the same as removing a delete tab, right?
No, that was
same
just
space, yeah.
My mind was wandering in this direction just from tabs, because that was the tab thing that has to go in the menu and such. So that would be also a solution to get rid of some of the tabs or such if you have them in the menu. And yeah, and I think that even the menu, the ticket I posted here is the graver one, because it's kind of weird that you have a menu where you can access to some degree, and then you have to work your way through the tabs, and then you could even open up the next topic, which would be like our nice breadcrumbs that kind of stop. Sorry for hurting so much.
Breadcrumbs, yes. Let's solve them. Gabor, do you still have? You did find the delete tab issue, right? Can you post it to Slack if you still have it?
I don't have it, but I'm still looking for it again. So I think I will check my history and find it there. Just the plan.
Before we dive into the breadcrumbs rat hole, it would be good to, circling back to the media and paragraph stuff we looked at. Let us know if you post the issue. Post links in Slack. We can provide feedback, right? And say which ones seem like good ideas, which ones are more of a head scratcher, etc. And yeah, turn delete tabs back into buttons. They used to be. Okay.
Yeah, one thing
Right.
would be a real question for that. You know, if the idea of having the media library, which is currently the entity browser in Contrib, to have it in a tray, then it would make sense to bring in this with the discussion of the issue which is being worked on, because I think that needs to go like in the design or wireframing and design considerations, because there is not much space there, not so much space as in a modal that covers your whole screen, and it would also be maybe the better choice to not say, hey, let's work on a modal thing because we have everything in modals and we kind of want to do that. Maybe also say this should be one of the choices, or should even be the preferred choice. I don't know. Because for me, it makes just much more sense to like not lose the context so much there. Between the place where it came from, where you wanted to place the media items, and the place where you find them. So
one way.
Yes, you kind of have to complete the task of selecting those. So, and you finalize that, but then you click on and say okay, and then you go and see in my content, oh, it's not the best. I have to reconsider and do another selection. So to have it side by side, it would just make more sense. Maybe.
That's true for selecting existing images. It's probably a bit harder to make the settings tray work for creating new media items.
Why not?
Why?
Why?
Space. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it could work. I'm just looking at just reminding myself of the wireframes of the modal version, which uses a drop zone for uploading. There's a bit of could still be there. Maybe it's not a valid counter argument.
And the thing is, we have to think about mobile, because those modals are not really good in mobile, and that's kind of a general roadmap, even though most of the people work on desktop, this is a thing, and this could be just a better pattern, than off canvas thing to have in your mobile. You just have that space, even if it's then even more narrow on a mobile phone, but I think it would be the better pattern in general there.
Yeah, I think it's useful. What I think I'd like to see is you the proposals we just looked at, your wireframes end up in the Thunder issue queue somewhere. We're moving the media library for core to an RTBC issue so that at least the current design and some of the implementation can start. We're still going to build a plan issue which outlines all the tasks for getting the feature in. And one of those tasks for it could be how to consider how much work, how much different is it? How much difference does it make if we could switch the behavior between modal and settings tray? So, I mean, in my simple mind, a modal is a wrapper around the functionality, and maybe the settings tray is some kind of functional wrapper around the same feature. I would like to hear just how feasible it is to get feedback from the implementers, right? How feasible it is to maybe toggle between the two. It'll be relatively disruptive to bring up this idea right now and say, oh, actually, I mean, that's not a reason to not do it or not discuss it. So we should have these ideas somewhere at a public URL at the very least, so that we can look at them and discuss them. And we can even bring that up tomorrow in the product management meeting as something that, we can then make a call on. Do we want to explore that through design? Is it a relatively small thing that we can just switch between and start building anyway, etc. So I think that's the way forward.
Yeah, I think it's not that the first parts is not that hard. So I think you're basically right. The modal wraps the media library or entity browser, and the same would be for the tray. And you would need some kind of narrow design for the modal as well, because you need to cater for smaller screens. So you would have something that would also be able to fit in a maybe more narrow settings tray. And nobody says that a settings tray must be only narrow on a bigger screen. That's another thing. The only thing, so that would be totally easy. So I think it would be also not so hard to, provide the choice of both. But, choice is not always good. But that's the first thing that would come to mind for something. But then as soon as you start to have those things side by side. In a modal, it's kind of like I said, you have to finish in the modal to get back to your page. So as soon as you have the things side by side, and that's maybe the more looking into the future, there will be some issues where you would want to, click something in the browser and then something to happen on the page, like update the list of a multi-media field with those items you selected in the media browser. This is something you can totally don't deal with if you're in a modal. You just select those items and say everything that has a check mark, and then you push the button selected and it goes inside. But as soon as you see that on your screen side by side, you might want to have updates that things you do on the right should also be propagated to the left, and that's something after you did the saying that you go for a tray, that might happen, and that's the thing that would be put on the roadmap where you need to think about. But this is in the future. I don't know.
Right.
Deal with that right now.
Where for the media library as a feature itself, we're still looking at the MVP version, right? So these are worthwhile considerations. It's just we need to make kind of sure that we're not locking in too much, right? It's that we keep some flexibility in the implementation, that we can change things. In the worst case, we have to throw something out, which would be good, an interesting exercise as well. But yeah, can you are you comfortable posting some of the stuff we discussed today, so that we have a reference?
Yeah. So I have the task anyways to post the stuff that we're thinking about for the Thunder, and I think that is enough information that also ties it to this meeting, and I will just go in and put the link in Slack. So this is there, and then as soon as we have something that is visible here for Thunder, I can also put in something for the bigger issue for the media library, and then somebody can link from there.
Yeah.
And then you can always ping me and tell me if there needs to be more.
Great.
More is always possible.
Yes, it's less is the challenge. Hey, I want to thank you for this walkthrough. Interesting ideas there, some worthwhile considerations, and looking forward to delete as a button. No, but thanks for your time. Any
Yeah, thank
closing
you.
thoughts, or otherwise we can close this hangout? Move on. Okay.
No, I'm good. Thank you very much for listening to me and giving me feedback. That is always very useful.
Well, happy to do so. So
Great.
next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye bye. See you.
Hey.